What if a call for help turned into a tragic event that sparked national outrage and real policy change? Today, we explore the killing of Sonya Massey and its aftermath. Hey, I'm Leah, feeling curious today and ready to dive into this eye-opening topic.
And I'm Garrett, excited to explore today's deep and complex story with you all on Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
Killing of Sonya Massey and subsequent investigation, trial, and reforms.
All right, let me set a quick personal frame. I've always been kind of obsessed with how one event can bend the arc of rules we all live under. You know, like when a single case exposes a crack in the system and then new laws or training come in to patch it. This story did exactly that. It led to Department of Justice oversight in one county and pushed a background check bill in Illinois. It's wild how a timeline can start with one 911 call and end with legislation that changes who gets a badge in the first place.
Let's open the book on this. Sonya Wilburn Massey was an unarmed black woman in Illinois who called 911 because she thought someone was trying to break in. Instead of safety, she ended up being shot in her own kitchen by a deputy. When we say use of force, by the way, that's simply the amount of pressure or actions police take to make a situation compliant. Deadly force is the kind that can kill or cause severe injury. Here, investigators later said deadly force wasn't justified.
Think of it like this. You dial for help because you hear a noise, and instead of the firefighters putting out a small spark, someone throws gasoline on it. That's kind of the feeling this left behind. The encounter happened just after 1 a.m. in July 2024 near Springfield, Illinois. Deputy Sean Grayson and Deputy Dawson Farley, both from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, responded to her call. Quick note, Grayson is the deputy who fired the shots, and Farley is the partner whose body camera captured the crucial footage.
Basic context first. There had been multiple contacts to 911 from early July 2024. On July 2024, her mom told dispatch that Sonya was struggling mentally but not dangerous and asked for non-combative officers. EMTs and behavioral health workers checked Sonya that morning and cleared her. You'll hear the code 1096 sometimes. That's police shorthand some agencies use for a person with mental health concerns. So by the time of the final call, responders had some notice there could be a behavioral health layer here.
All right, let's roll on into the facts of the night. In July 2024, Sonya calls about a suspected intruder. Deputies Grayson and Farley arrive, check outside, find no prowler, and knock for a few minutes until she opens the door. They enter. Inside, the situation is calm at first. They ask for ID, and she's looking through papers and her purse. There's also a dispatch callback happening on speaker for part of it, which later helped sync the timeline with the body cam.
Here's where it turns. Grayson asks her to move a pot of hot water off the stove. Sonya picks it up to move it. She says twice, a religious phrase, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." That's not a threat. It's a spiritual rebuke, basically a prayerful boundary. She then apologizes immediately. She says, "Okay, I'm sorry," and ducks down behind the counter. But in between, Grayson utters a threat, and this is on the recording. He says in explicit terms that he'll shoot her in the face.
Seconds later, both deputies draw their guns. Grayson fires 3 times, and one bullet enters beneath Sonya's left eye and exits the back of her neck. That's from the autopsy, which also noted carotid artery damage and brain bleeding. She's unarmed. The only item she had in that moment was the pot she'd been asked to move. Importantly, Grayson only turned his body-worn camera on after the shooting. Farley's body cam had been on the whole time. That timing matters a lot. Body cams are those chest-worn devices officers use to record encounters, and most departments have rules saying when they must be on.
After the shots, the footage captures something that really shook people. Grayson discourages immediate medical aid. He says, "She's done," and that's a headshot, and even tosses his medical kit, saying he wouldn't waste it. Farley does try to help with dish towels on the wound. Sonya is taken to St. John's Hospital and pronounced dead at 1:47 a.m. The Illinois State Police, which is the statewide investigative agency, reviewed the case quickly. Within 10 days, they found the use of deadly force unjustified.
As the criminal case moved forward, public attention ramped up fast. In July 2024, the body cam footage is released and protests follow in several cities. Elected officials speak out. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Senator Dick Durbin, Representative Nikki Budzinski, and Springfield's Mayor Misty Buscher all condemn what happened and call for accountability. In the background, well-known civil rights attorney Ben Crump. He's represented families in cases like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, joins the Massey family, and the U.S. Department of Justice starts assessing the case for civil rights concerns.
Meanwhile, the criminal process moves quickly, too. In July 2024, just 11 days after the shooting, Sangamon County fires Grayson, and a grand jury indicts him on first-degree murder and other counts. Quick vocab check. First-degree murder is typically an intentional, premeditated killing. In Illinois, juries can also consider lesser-included offenses, like second-degree murder, which is an intentional killing without premeditation or with certain mitigating factors. Grayson pleads not guilty and is held without bail.
There's more context that shaped reforms. The family says that right after the shooting, some early chatter tried to peg the death on suicide or a neighbor. That conflicted with the medical examiner who ruled it a homicide from a gunshot wound to the head. Beyond that immediate confusion, Sonya's family has this heartbreaking historical link. Her ancestor, William Donegan, was lynched in the 1908 Springfield race riot and pronounced dead at the same hospital. That riot helped spark the founding of the NAACP. The echo across generations is just, heavy.
Fast forward into 2025, the Department of Justice, this is the federal agency that can examine patterns in local systems, formally opens a civil rights investigation into Sangamon County's practices. They don't make a finding of discrimination, but they negotiate an agreement in January 2025. That deal requires de-escalation training that specifically includes interacting with people who have behavioral health disabilities, creating a mobile crisis team, and doing twice-yearly complaint reporting. A mobile crisis team means mental health pros who can respond alongside or in place of armed officers.
Alongside federal action, the family settles a civil case with the county for about $10 million, and their fundraiser covers ongoing needs. In the legislature, House Bill 1953, called Sonya Massey's bill, passes the Illinois House in May 2025. Big picture, it tightens background checks and information sharing so that misconduct follows an officer between departments. That's key here, because Grayson had prior DUIs, a documented false arrest in 2021, and a reckless pursuit in 2022, where he turned off his lights and siren, hit about 110 miles per hour, and only stopped after hitting a deer. Supervisors discussed firing him, but the incident wasn't reported out. That gap mattered.
Then the trial. Venue moves to Peoria County, and testimony begins in October 2025. The key witness is Deputy Dawson Farley, the partner who was there. He tells the jury Sonya never did anything that made him think she was a threat and that it was Grayson's behavior that heightened everything. Grayson testifies too. He says he took the phrase, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," as a threat, feared being scalded, and didn't use his taser because he believed her clothing might make it ineffective. Investigators didn't buy that, and neither did jurors.
Closing arguments lock in on a core idea. Prosecutors argue you can't create the danger and then claim self-defense, like stepping in front of a moving car and then saying you feared being hit. After more than 11 hours of deliberation, the jury finds Grayson guilty of second-degree murder. In January 2026, he gets the maximum 20-year sentence with 2 years of supervised release. Note that Illinois allows potential release around 50% for good behavior, minus time served. His cancer diagnosis, stage 4 by then, comes up, but the judge says there's no evidence prison care would be inferior.
At sentencing, Sonya's children deliver heartbreaking statements. Her son says, "My soul is ripped," and her daughter says she hasn't been the same person since. The court hears from her parents too, and months later, in August 2026, Grayson dies in prison from stage 4 colon cancer at age 32. That closes out the criminal case without appeals, but the policy and community questions keep moving. leadership changes at the sheriff's office, including Sheriff Jack Campbell retiring with Paula Crouch stepping in, and those DOJ reforms continue on a set timeline.
All right, let's shift into a hard, honest question. Was Grayson's perception of a threat reasonable? In plain terms, reasonableness is the legal yardstick for judging an officer's use of force. Would another reasonable officer with the same info in the same moment see a deadly threat? I can lay out the defense's view, even though the jury rejected it. Hot water can maim, and the window for action felt like seconds. If he truly believed a scalding was about to happen, he might argue he made a split-second call to protect himself and his partner.
I hear that argument, but I don't think it holds up here. We have Farley's testimony. He says Sonya never made him think she was a threat. We also have her words and body language. She apologizes and ducks down behind the counter. Plus, Grayson's explicit threat to shoot her in the face before he fires suggests escalation from him, not her. And a less lethal option, a taser, was available. His clothing excuse is untested in the record. When officers move closer while shouting, they can create what's called officer-created jeopardy. You ratchet up the risk, then claim you're in danger. That's not reasonable.
Let me push one why question back to you. Why does the religious phrase matter so much in the analysis? If he hears words he doesn't understand in a tense moment, couldn't that add to fear?
Great why. Because words shape intent. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus is a spiritual boundary, not a threat. If anything, it telegraphs that she's not trying to fight. She's invoking faith. Context matters too. She picked up the pot because he asked her to move it, then immediately apologized. A reasonable officer with training in de-escalation, which means tactics to cool a situation down, would increase space, lower volume, and avoid rushing forward with guns drawn. Farley's calm response is a real-time comparator. Same scene, different read.
Fair, and I think that's why the jury landed where it did. The video plus Farley's account made it hard to argue necessity. Also, Grayson activating his body camera only after the shots doesn't help his credibility, though vices are supposed to be on to capture the whole lead-in, not just the aftermath. Transparency gaps tend to erode reasonableness claims, because we can't see steps that might justify force. So yeah, while I can articulate the fear narrative, the legal standard didn't meet it here.
Quick note on pop culture. There isn't a big film or series about this case, but honestly, a thoughtful project could center the real systems. Show the dispatch logs, the body cam timing, the DOJ agreement, and the creation of a mobile crisis team that pairs clinicians with officers. Less dramatized chase scenes, more of the quiet decisions that make or break safety in a kitchen at 1 a.m.
Counterfactual time. What if rigorous background checks had blocked Grayson's hiring? He had 2 prior DUIs, a documented false arrest in 2021, and that 2022 pursuit that supervisors considered firing him over. If those red flags had followed him cleanly across departments, maybe Sangamon County never hires him. In that alternate track, a different deputy responds in July 2024. Sonya gets a routine safety check, maybe some reassurance about the SUV out front, and the night ends with lights off and doors locked.
And second, what if? What if a mobile crisis team had rolled? On July 2024, remember, EMTs and behavioral health workers saw Sonya and cleared her. Needs can change hour to hour, but having clinicians on scene the next night could have meant slower pacing, softer commands, and a plan to manage fear and possible paranoia. That's precisely why the DOJ agreement requires that team in training. It bakes a calmer toolkit into the first response, so someone's faith statement over a pot of water doesn't turn into gunfire.
There's also the ripple effect. Stronger vetting changes hiring, which changes culture, which changes supervision on the street. If House Bill 1953, Sonya Massey's bill, becomes standard, departments will see what other agencies saw and can screen out patterns that predict risk. One blocked hire doesn't fix everything, but it can keep a single night from becoming a statewide tragedy. That's pretty much the point of reform. Move the odds towards safety before the call even comes in.
Thanks for being here today. Learning from the past can guide a better future.
Stay curious, and let's keep pushing for positive change. Until next time on Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.